Hello, everyone. This is Beatrice Oti. So just a quick introduction. I am a freelancer, a co-caller, and a business partner with Canada International Work and Study Resources. And I want to say welcome. I do apologize. Yesterday we had a little bit of glitch with technology, but I'm glad everything is up and running today. So we're about to start. So before I start today, I would briefly want to tell you guys what Ciwsrc stands for. So that is Canada International Work and Study Resource Center. We are an affordable consultancy firm, and what we do is we help clients to immigrate smoothly to Canada, and we bank on integrity. We're RCIC licensed, so before you actually book a consultant, you need to check to see if they are licensed, right? And RCIC, if you're RCIC licensed, it means the government trusts you. It means that you're well regulated within the Canadian system. So you don't just want to go to any consultant, right? Some consultants, they just take their money and then that's it. No, we are not a sleazy consultancy firm. We bank on integrity. We are licensed, and we're here to ensure that you come to Canada at an affordable rate. We are one of the most affordable consultancy in the entire world. Isn't that awesome? So if you want to book a consultation, I see a lot of people. Welcome. Thank you so much. I'm so excited that you're here. What I will need you to do is book your consultation with Ciwsrc. We have tons of resources. So our topic today is preparing for life in Canada as a student. I was a student in Canada, and thankful to God, it did take me a while. I've lived in Canada 10 years, so that's a decade. It was pretty much of a challenging situation, but that's why I'm here to let you know how to scale through, and that way your circumstance would not be as like mine. Yours would run smoothly, and you're well prepared and planned for what Canada has to offer. Now, for people who are new here, maybe I don't know. I don't want to assume. Some people don't even know, because when I immigrated to Canada, I didn't even know there was a country called Canada. Canada is one of the best country out there in the world, especially for immigrants. It's multicultural. It welcomes people from all different races of life. You can be Nigerian, you can be Ghana, you can be from anywhere in the world, and Canada is ready to welcome you. Now, our topic would be preparing for life in Canada. We'll be talking about how you can navigate the job market, how you can find housing, and how you are well prepared as a student in Canada. So let's go. So I'll be talking about my personal experience as well, personal life, and how to navigate that. I'll talk about networking, I'll talk about housing, and I'll talk about how to navigate the job market. So that's getting a job in Canada. So the first things first, I tell everybody is before you even think of booking your flight, right, taking that flight to Canada, the first things first is you need to do concrete research. You need to understand the lifestyle. What is the culture like, right, in Canada? There are two basic languages in Canada, and that's English and French. And I always recommend you take the IELTS exam. Now, you're not taking the IELTS exam because the university wants you to take it. You're taking the IELTS exam to polish your English. I wasn't really a good English speaker. I wasn't a native speaker. It took me tons of practice, and it took me tons of years before my English became as, flawless as is, right? So you need to work on your English, because in Canada you'll be speaking English. Now, for Anglophone countries, if you love French, you want to go to Quebec, there are tons of job opportunities right now for French speaking individuals. And if you have a good French speaking skill, I would advise you to polish it, because the job market for French speakers is extremely high. I'm just going to tell you guys a little story about myself. I remember when I booked the plane in 2012, when I was just excited, right? Back home, when you tell someone you're going to Canada, all they want to do is hop in the plane and just get out, right? Get out of your country, get out of Nigeria, right? Nigeria sometimes, with the situation and the economic situation, you just want to get out of your country. And then boom, I was in Canada. Okay, so what next? I did not know where my university was. I thought my university was in Toronto, but no, my university was in Windsor. So I was as confused as hell. And then the consultancy firm I used back then, they didn't even know what they were doing. So it was two blind people, right? And it's like, okay, I was just in Canada and I didn't know anywhere. And I quickly had to, go online, and I had to book the Greyhound bus. Greyhound is a transportation system that the Canadian government uses. That way their resident can move from one location to another, from one city to another. Also, another tip for you is before you move to Canada, please go and research what the different cities are per province. Like in Ontario, we have London, Ontario, we have Mississauga, we have Toronto, we have Brampton, we have Leamington, we have London, right? You need to know the cities, because I did not even know what Ontario was. I thought Ontario was a city in Toronto. No, it's the opposite. Toronto is a city in Ontario, and Ontario is a province. So you need to know this information, and that's why Ciwsrc, we're here for you. We have all the tools and all the resources you need. Please don't look any further. This is your go-to. This is your last bus stop. You need to book. Yes, I'm talking to you. And if you're looking to book that consultation, book it right now when our prices are still affordable. Oops, sorry about that. When our prices are still affordable, you want to book that. You want to book that right now. Give me a moment. I just got a message. Okay, I want you to let me know if you can see me. I got a message and I just want to make sure. Okay, it says, okay, we're waiting for you. Okay, so yeah, happy to be back. I do apologize for that interruption. Yeah, so if you want to book your consultancy, go ahead and book it right now. So like I was saying with my story, I did not know where I was going to. I was just lost in Canada, and I had to quickly book the Greyhound bus. And then after booking the Greyhound bus, then I quickly drove to London, Ontario. And then when I drove to London, Ontario, I told the driver to please stop me real quick, and I need to offload my baggage. I never knew that London, Ontario was not Windsor, Ontario. So these are some of the challenges as a student you would face. Now, the good thing is technology has made life easy for you. You can download the Google map so you know the different cities in Canada. That would help a lot. Otherwise, you can purchase the map of the city. You can purchase it in any dollar store when you get to Canada. So yeah, feel free to let me know if you have any questions. I would love to see your questions and comments in the comment section. My comment section is open. If you have any questions for me, I'm available to pick up any question you may have. So I haven't seen anything in the comment section yet, but you're all welcome to ask me any questions. So quickly, we'll be going on to the next one, and that is networking. Now, before you book your flight, please and please and please network. You need to know at least 5 to 6. You need to know at least 5 to 6 people. Now, Canada International Work and Study Resources made this beautiful for you. We do have airport pickups. We have student accommodation. We have a lot of things to offer you. That's why we're here for you. You need to know at least 5 to 6 people before you move. Yes, before you move to Canada, you need to know 5 to 6 people. Now, if you don't know anybody when you're in Canada, you still need to network. Now, the internet has made life easy. There is LinkedIn, there is Facebook, there is Instagram, there is so many. There is Snapchat, there is TikTok. So there are so many platforms. No excuse for you to. Let me see. I got a message again. Sorry about that. Okay, it says captured. Sorry about that. I just want to make sure everything is up and running on my end. So there is tons of resources for you. So you want to take advantage of these resources, right? You don't want to be in Canada and you don't know where you're going to. You're just lost in the jungle, like it's another jungle. No, it can be a beautiful experience. Trust me, there are tons of people I know that are so successful as a result of networking. So networking is powerful. It's like, I want to tell you something right now. Networking got me where I am today. You need to network. It's one of the attributes that would scale you to success if you eventually have the Canada dream and you move abroad. Make sure you network and be open-minded. It's a positive culture. Like I said, it's multicultural. Most Nigerians, they are structured to religious like they go to the church and they get friends at the church. Be open-minded, right? You have the student services where you can network with people. You can join the student club. You can, and then the first big thing for international students, I always want to buttress this. Please and please, the moment you hit and you land in Canada, go to the International Student Center. They have tons of resources, and this is where networking. Make friends with their student advisors. Let them know you by name. Yes, my student advisor, his name is Rick. He knows me to this day. He knows, oh yeah, Beatrice, because you volunteered. Another big tip, volunteering. Yes, volunteering. Volunteering will help you. I volunteered at the Windsor Regional Hospital. You can call, they know my name. I volunteered in a religious organization. I volunteered at the University of Windsor. I've done a lot of volunteering. So volunteering would open you to a lot of skills because it shapes your skill as well. So if you have the skill of public speaking, when you volunteer, it brings it out, it refines it, right? So volunteering is going to help you in the long run. So you're not just going to Canada to go and study. You're going to Canada to be open-minded. You're going to Canada to bring value to people. You're going to Canada to grow and develop yourself. And when you grow and develop yourself, it also helps your community. So if you are a Nigerian doing very well in Canada, the Canadians will be like, okay, they're doing so well. I think we should work with Nigerians, right? So you want to build yourself as a brand as well. So volunteering is powerful. When you're networking, always be willing to help. Always be willing to put yourself out there, to give yourself out there. Don't just be all about me when you get to Canada. You know, help, be there, be willing to help, be willing to volunteer, be willing to put yourself in student help services. Now, joining a group, you have to be respectful. One thing I always tell people, Canada is rights driven. Yes, I'm going to say that again. Canada is right driven. You need to know your rights. If you don't know your rights, you're going to be abused. There is rights to having a safe place. There's rights in terms of landlord and tenant rights. Now, I'm going to be saying this when we talk about the housing. There is a specific right you need to know as a tenant cohabiting with another individual in Canada. Canada is rights driven. If you want to get a vehicle, there are certain rights. You can't just drive above 100 kilometers while you're in the road. There are certain laws and policies that you need to stand by. Otherwise, you can get a ticket. I've gotten a ticket before. You can get a ticket. And when you get a ticket, it's tough because you got to go to court to have that ticket erased. So you don't want to get into all that. So this is someone who I've experienced quite a lot of things in Canada. There's also a right when you're working with an employer. Your employer should not abuse you, right? There's certain laws, right, that, you know, are out there. You need to know what these laws are. And that is why Ciwsrc is here for you. You can go check our website, go download resources, and take advantage. Trust me, we're living in a borderless society right now. So in those days, like, the internet wasn't as informative as it was in 2012. In 2012, the consultant who even took me to Canada, he didn't even have an idea. He himself was a newbie. So we were like his first client, and it was great. I got approved, my visa got approved. And if your visa got approved, congratulations, because that's huge. So that is with networking. Networking is a fantastic tip. Trust me, I network with Indians, I network with Chinese people, I network with Nigerians, I network with Caucasians, and it has helped me. As we speak right now, there are 2 or 3 people I can call right now. They're Canadians and they will come to my house right now. Why? Because trust is built. You want to build trust as well. That's why I said volunteer, because when people keep seeing you, automatically, okay, you're giving value to our community. We're going to be here for you because you've been here for us. Okay, so it's vice versa. Now, I've talked about joining the International Student Center as a student. I've talked about, now, in terms of relating with people, Nigerians are not really, we don't smile a lot. Canadians, they always have a smile on their face. Come on, like, what is it? Always smile to people when you're in Canada. Greet people, be happy, be jovial, right? And always be along, being in the moment, right? Like, you are joining a group and you're moody all day. Nobody would want to talk to you. You have to smile. You have to show that you're interested. You have to be cooperative. Okay, these are some of the little things you need to understand when you get to Canada. And you have to be accepting. You have to accept people for who they are. In Canada, in Nigeria, there are certain things you do to be like, oh, I don't want to see you in my house again. You need to manage people. You need to be diplomatic. Yes, and you need to be political when you're in Canada. These things have happened. Yeah, I know. Nigerians, you guys know what I'm saying when I say you need to be political. Yes, because it helps you a lot, especially when you're working with an employer. Now we'll be going to work. How do you navigate the job market? Now, there's an interesting news for you guys. Now, the Canadian government no longer puts any restriction for people who are studying. When you're studying in Canada, you are able to work full time. I had a friend, I'm not going to mention his name, I remember he traveled from Ontario to a different province, worked 4 jobs to pay his tuition because at the time he lost his dad. So his dad could no longer afford his tuition. And at that time in 2012, you could go and Google. In 2012, we're paying to get a social insurance number. You had to pay. Now you don't have to pay. The Canadian government has made life easy for you as long as you have a study permit. And your study permit should have a section where it says to work, except your study permit, the immigration officer says you're not allowed to work, which is kind of rare, but you have the opportunity to work. So yeah, when you have that money, you can use that money to fend, even if it's more to buy your books, to buy clothing, just to take care of yourself, right? And even you could use some of those funds to pay your fees. I remember while in the university days, I had the fall semester, the summer semester, and the winter. Now I take 5 courses. 5 courses is the you know, 5 courses is the limit, like it's the maximum course you could take. So I took 5 courses in the fall and in the winter, and then I worked 3 jobs in the summer just to gather some of those funds, right? To pay the bills, because I really wanted to relieve my family. My family, like my parents had to pay for my siblings, right? I'm not the only person, like they have to pay the fees for. So you know what I mean? So you have the opportunity to work. Please, if you have the opportunity to work. Don't put all the burden on your parents. If you have the ability to work, because when you work, you're also building yourself. You're also building connection. And also a good thing, when you're done school, you also have an employer to return to. That is smart. So don't just sit down. And one thing I love about Canada, the universities, they actually have job opportunities for international students. So you want to take advantage of that. Yes, you could be a teaching assistant in the university. So people are like, okay, how do I navigate the job market? I've told you, volunteer. It's simple. By the time you start volunteering, you're putting yourself out there. Have a Canadian style resume. Have a Canadian cover letter. There are tons of resources online. And you could also talk to one of our consultants, one of our specialists, and they will assist you with building a Canadian style resume. So the first things first is when you go to university, be open to volunteering opportunities, and eventually you would see job opportunities. Working as a teaching assistant is one of them. Is the easiest way. After working as a teaching assistant, there are other skills out there that you would find, right? And then there are tons of websites that would help you. That's why you have Canada International Work and Study Resources. You can always come back to us, even though you're in Canada. Because you're in Canada doesn't mean you should forget about us. We're still here for you. And like I said, we have a branch in Canada, and we also have a branch in Nigeria. So we're very reliable. You can always come to us. If you're having difficulty navigating jobs, you can always come to us. But one thing I want you to know for sure, network. Networking is extremely powerful. Networking has changed my life tremendously. Like while I was in the university days, there were some courses I wasn't able to do. I wasn't even doing well. Like my math courses, I wasn't doing well. I had to meet a friend that I met in a colleague in class, and then we became friends. And then she was like, okay, no, this and this and this. And then she even took me to the professor. Yes, you can speak to your professor in Canada. It's not like Nigeria. You can speak to your professor one-on-one. If you're having difficulty in a certain course, you can go to the professor and say, hey, I need clarity. I don't understand what's going on here. The professor would break it down to you. You don't even need to go and meet a TA. You can go straight to your professor. So networking is very powerful. That's one of the best ways for you to navigate the job market. Now, you can also volunteer. I've been saying this from the beginning. Volunteering would also put you out. When you volunteer with someone for a period of time with an organization, you can tell me, hey, do you have any paid job opportunities? I need to, get in the business of working that way. I can pay some of my bills. They're willing to help you. Canadians actually, they are happy people and they're willing to help, right? And they love it when they see that you're actually bringing value to their country. They don't want you to be a liability. They want to always spoon feed. They want to see you doing something, especially if it's legal. Okay. And also that reminds me, Nigerians, if you're listening to me, please make sure whatever you're doing in Canada is legal. Let me put that in there. Make sure whatever you're doing in Canada is legal. Well, they state it in your work permit anyways, in your study permit. Sorry about that. And also as students, you have the opportunity after you're done studying to actually work, like the open works permit. And after that, you can immigrate and all that. I've done a webinar about that. You could listen to that. So that's an opportunity that the Canadian government provides to students. That's awesome. That's very awesome. And then lastly, I will talk about housing. Now, you're trying to prepare as a student, right? And you're in Canada, you're in a new place. It's new. You don't know anybody. You don't know how they speak. You don't know the language. You don't know if you do your hand like this, if it's rude. You don't know. I would say when you meet someone, just give them a handshake. Yeah, just give them a handshake. You know, the Nigerians where you tap people, avoid tapping people in Canada because you don't know what anyone is going through. So avoid tapping, just give them a handshake. Just cooperate, I would say, and get along with people, and just be careful because the culture is a bit different from the Nigerian culture. Nigerian, we're pretty, we're pretty free in some sense. And there are some times where we're supposed not to be free, and then yeah, Nigerians, you guys know what I'm talking about. But then you just want to be extremely careful. Now, when you go to Canada, there are three most important things. You have to live, you have to stay, you need housing, you need accommodation, you're feeding and clothing. That's awesome. And that's why I love the Canadian system, because before you come into their country, the government is gonna ask you, they're gonna send you, okay, send us a financial sponsorship letter. Who is gonna sponsor you for the next 2 to 3 months? Are you coming to the country to play? No, you're not coming to the country to sit down. You're coming to the country to bring value. That's what I tell them. You're coming to the country to bring value. This is not Nigeria. You're not coming to sit down and, oh, I'm in Canada, and you start taking pictures. It's awesome. You could do that. Yes. But you're coming to bring value. So before you come into the country, the government is gonna ask for the financial. They want to know who's sponsoring you. How are you gonna fend for yourself in the next 6 to 7 months? How are you going to do that? Are you going to come and start taking loans, or are you going to come and start borrowing money, or are you going to come and then go back to your country? These are the things they need you to have. So first of all, the first 2 to 3 months, your parents is going to afford your bills. And then, like I said, you can work, you can start the job market via volunteering, putting yourself out there, and then working at the university. And financial sponsorship, when your parents are done with all that, you want to also make sure you have a bit of an understanding about the housing system. So in Canada, your first and last month's rent is an upfront payment. So for instance, this is Beatrice. Beatrice is going to be living in 468 Rosedale Avenue. That's my previous apartment, by the way. So for people who are in Windsor, yeah, 468 Rosedale Avenue, I would be staying there for a year. Please read the lease. In short, 4 important tips about housing. You need to read the lease before you move into that apartment. You need to make sure you pay your first and last month's rent. You need to make sure before you sign the lease, everything in the lease you're satisfied with it before you sign the lease. And then you need to move. And then when you're moving, if you can't move alone, there are services you need to utilize. That's why Ciwsrc are here for you as well. So read the lease, right? So your first and last month's rent is an upfront payment. After paying that upfront payment, then you pay in between. Now, if your lease states that you can't stay for more than a year, or you can only stay for a year, make sure you have that understanding with the landlord. Because I remember I got kicked out from a house by the landlord after a year, and it was like, well, it was written in the lease. I'm like, well, you didn't tell me. Well, this says it in the lease, and I had already signed the lease. So who was confused? I was the one who was to be responsible, and you need to be very responsible. Yeah, I was the one who was responsible. Anything I do in Canada, I always read it through thoroughly. And if you don't understand, you can go to the student services, because as a student, it's a bit challenging, right? It's a new environment. You can take that list to the student health services. They should have a bit like lawyers and tons of resources for you, and they would read it for you and make sure you understand it in your language. Because it's one thing for me to understand what someone is saying. It's another thing for the person, like it's one thing for you to understand what you're saying. So it's another thing for the second party to understand. Like the landlord said on the lease that it was only for 6 months, but I didn't see that part. He didn't mention it. He didn't mention it verbally, but it was written down on a piece of paper. And a piece of paper in Canada is a legal document. Yes, Nigerians, pay attention. This is not Africa. You can't plead. What it is what it is. So after 6 months, I had to look for another place. And I'm glad, because like usually you pay your first and last month rent upfront. So I paid like $1,000. The rent at the time was $500. So I paid like $1,000. And then in July, I was told that I need to vacate the residence. And I'm like, vacate the residence? How? And he's like, well, read your lease, girl. Your lease says you can only stay here for 6 months. I was like, oh, wow. And I started looking for a house. And again, I went to the student health. I went to the student services international student center, and then they told me, okay, you could actually go on a website called Kijiji. These are things like Kijiji is a website that like helps people who reside in Canada to get sort of help. So you could go on Kijiji and type, oh, I'm looking for movers, house movers. I'm trying to move from this location to that location. It's pretty cheap. You could pay them $20, $40, and $50. If you have like a mattress, if you have like big furniture, they may charge you more for all that. So these are things you need to know. You really need to know these things. The lease is very important. I feel like we should do a whole session about understanding the lease, because there is tenant and landlord rights, and it can get pretty serious. I'm saying jokingly, but it can get pretty serious if you don't know what you're doing. It can get really serious. There are some houses that allow smoking, and if you are living in that house and it's the smoking, like you have like smoking sensation, you're asthmatic, and you're telling the landlord to stop, it's like, hey, the lease says that it allows smoking, so why are you complaining? You signed the lease. So you want to look for an apartment that accommodates your health condition. If the lease states that pets are not allowed, and you have a dog, and they're like, nope, the lease states that you cannot have pets. So you need to understand what the lease says. If there's some big vocabulary that you don't understand, that's why you need to seek international students. You need to seek our services, Ciwsrc, and you want to utilize the International Student Center in Canada when you get there. Every university has International Student Center, and I notice a lot of Nigerians don't use their service. Now, one big thing before we close. Thank you so much. I can see more people are coming in. Thank you, thank you. This is Beatrice to Ciwsrc. I'm so happy you're here, and I'll be very grateful if you go ahead and book a consultation with us for us to start your Canadian dream. Okay? Now, one big thing I want to tell my audience: my study permit, my visa, my international passport must always be up to date. Yes. Your study permit is not gonna, the duration is not gonna be like 4 years at a stretch. They may give you 2 years and then 2 years again, because they assume you should be done your program if it's a 4 years program as an undergrad, except you're a master's student for a year or 2 years. So you want to always renew your study permit 6 months before it takes expiration. You want to always renew your visa 6 months before its expiration. I had a bad experience. I had a study permit. Listen, guys, listen. I had a study permit that was approved, but the visa had expired, so I could not come back into Canada. So at the airport, I was told your visa had expired. I had to do another visa. Let that not be you. Now, that is why Ciwsrc is here. The moment you get your visa and your study permit, even your international passport, we have the Nigerian embassy in Ottawa, so no excuse. You can get your international passport renewed. All these things will be checked in for you. You want to have the date, you want to renew them, and you want to keep your staying. After all the process and all the hassle, you don't want to be taken back to your home country just because you forgot to renew a document. No, no, you want to set yourself up for success. So I believe with these tips and tricks with respect to housing, with respect to personal life, with respect to networking, and with respect to working in Canada, you are better positioned. And I would love you to listen to this video again and again. And I would want you to tell your friends and family to utilize our services. And if you're having, like I'm going to talk about Ciwsrc, you can pay in installments. You can pay 50% before your admission and then pay the other 50%. And like I said, we bank on integrity. We're ethical. We're RCIC licensed. We have integrity is our watchword. That is our only watchword. Let me say that. Okay. So let's say, for instance, you God forbid, but your admission was not approved. We'll refund you. We'll refund you. So I want you guys to go ahead and book your consultation with us, and let's start the Canadian dream. The earlier you start, the better, because we have the fall, winter, and summer semester. Now, you don't want to start, if you want to start schooling in September, it's best to start applying. Actually, if you want to start school in summer, so summer is coming up. This is February. Start now. Start now. Start now. Start the admission now. Go ahead and send us a DM. If your dream is to study in Canada and then build your dream, go ahead and send us a DM, okay? Okay, and this will be it. Thank you so much for listening. Again, this is Beatrice with Canada International Work and Study Resources. I am so grateful to have you here. I'm so grateful you're utilizing this service. We're going to give you the best result. We're going to ensure you get that visa approved. We're going to ensure you get that permit approved. We're going to ensure you get your study permit. We're going to help you when you arrive at the airport with airport pickups. We're going to ensure that you have a good stay and enjoy Canada as an economy, okay? So do want to follow our page. Our social media page is Ciwsrc on Facebook. You can bookmark this website, ciwsrc.ca. That way you can get all the resources you need, okay? Thank you, and I'll see you at a later date. Bye. Okay, bye now. I do see a lot of people are coming in. Yeah, so again, I said this is Beatrice Ciwsrc, and yeah, we'll assist you with all your Canada immigration needs, from studying, working, finding your job, and getting your career. Thank you. I see another like. Now, if you have any question, Yeah, this is the time for, if you have any question, I'll stay here for a while. You have any question, you have any concerns, go ahead and shoot me in the comment section. I will be in the comment section to answer all your questions. All your questions. So if you have any questions, shoot me any question you have in respect. Okay, how is the weather in Canada? Canada has the fall, Canada has the winter, Canada has the summer. The fall is a little bit chill when the leaves are falling, and then the summer is a little bit hot like in Africa, and then the winter is a little bit cold, and it varies from province to province. So whatever question you have, I'll be here to answer you. I haven't gotten any question. So what is one of the most, okay, I see Joy Akimbade. Thank you, Joy Akimbade. Thank you, Joy Akimbade. Please, what question do you have? What question do you have? I'm willing to answer any question you have. What question do you have? One of the questions people usually ask is, what are some of the challenges of an international student? The first biggest challenge of an international student is knowledge. Knowledge. They don't know where to go. They don't know how to access resources. There's so many resources for you. Canada is resources driven. The moment you get into the country, there's tons of services to help you. They have, the banking sector has tons of services. If you're looking for advisors, you're looking for counselors in university, there are tons of resources for you, but they don't even know how to access them. You have to go to these services and learn and, you know, be knowledgeable. And I tell people, if your plan is to stay in Canada after studying, you ought to know now. You're not supposed to wait until you're done the university. You ought to plan now. Am I going to be working with an employer for 2-3 years? Which employer? Is this employer legislated? Like, can this employer, like, is this employer affiliated with the NOC codes? Are they eligible? Can I utilize this employer? So these are things. So most international students don't know. Like, I was naive for like 2-3 years. It was in my final year I realized I want to stay back in Canada. I'm like, oh my god, my course, the program I took was like, I had to switch so many times. And I'm grateful I had a friend who took me to a student advisor, and then I was put in the right program, and then I had a minor in computer science. So knowledge, I noticed that one of the biggest impediments and one of the biggest hindrance for international students is knowledge. They don't know where to renew their passport. They don't know how to renew their passport. They don't know how to renew their study permit. They don't know how to renew their visa. They don't know where to go. They don't know the rules and regulations. So they're just at the flow, right? So knowledge is huge. Make sure you utilize Ciwsrc. We have tons of free resources for you. We have tons of, I've done a webinar before about the province. Please go listen to that webinar. A lot of people don't even know what province is. They think that it's like states in Nigeria. You know, Nigeria has 36 states. They think Canada has 36 states. No, Canada has provinces. Canada has a prime minister. So these are knowledge. Knowledge is the biggest. And then support, like I said, networking would help you a lot. Okay, is there any other question? Thank you so much, Joy, for your comment. Please let me know the questions you have so I can answer those questions for you. Any question, Joy? Please let me know your question in the comment section. Ask me any question. Excuse me. Ask me any question and I will be happy to answer your question. What are the financial constraints? Okay. So like I said, Ciwsrc, we allow you to pay in installments. So let's say, so for undergrad it's currently 250,000 naira, and then for postgraduate is 275,000 naira for admission only. And we're affiliated with tons of universities, so nothing to worry about. Your admission is guaranteed. You are getting your admission. You are getting your admission letter. Now, like I said, we're RCIC licensed, so we'll work our best to ensure you get a study permit. For the financial constraint, like, you have to pay 50% before the admission, and then once your admission letter is out, you pay the other 50%. But if you're able to afford the entire amount at a go, then go ahead and do that. Okay. But yeah, that's pretty. I don't think is there any consult. Most consultants will collect full payment. I don't know, but like for us, we collect an installment. So you can pay 50% on the onset, and then after your admission letter comes out, you pay the other 50%. Okay, so nothing to worry about. Any more questions? Any more question for me before I call it a day? Okay, any more question? Any more question? Ask your question, 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 ask your question. Okay, I will be here for any questions you may have. Joy Akimbade, I didn't get your question. Joy Akimbade, please let me know your question in the comment section so we can go ahead, and I'm going to give it an additional 2 minutes and we'll be wrapping up. Okay. For those who don't know, this is Beatrice with Ciwsrc if you're just joining, and we are your go-to, your reputable consultancy firm. Will help you with Canada immigration process, all the way from studying to working to immigrating to Canada. Nothing to worry about. We are RCIC licensed, so which means we're regulated. We have a branch in Canada. We have in Nigeria for people who want to go to the physical location, and we're here to handle all your immigration needs. We also have a good refund policy as well. We have lots of things to offer you, lots of things. We have tons of resources. We have our website as well. So if you have any information you need to research or Google, go on our website. Okay, I'm seeing a question. Omobolale Folarin. Thank you so much, Omobolale Folarin. Please, what question do you have? What question do you have? Hello. I would love to know your question. So we're talking about how to prepare for life in Canada. We're talking about how to utilize services, how to volunteer, give yourself out, join a network, have a group. We're talking about how you can find jobs in Canada and understanding the housing system, understanding the laws that governs the landlord and the tenant rights. Canada is rights driven, and you need to know this as a student or as a foreign national. You need to know this, right? So, oh, one more thing I was going to add. Most people, when they come to Canada, they usually want to live with the university residence. They call it the university residence or dormitory. It's very expensive, so that's why it's best you actually rent an affordable home close to the university. So, Omo Bolale Folarin, I will be waiting for your question. I was about to shut down the webinar, and then you came on. Thank you for coming on. I just need to know what questions you have, so I could, answer that question for you. I answered a couple of questions. Someone asked about financial constraint, which I informed them we accept paying in installment. You pay the first 50%, and then you pay the other 50%. After your admission letter is out. We help you with visa processing as well. Now, the visa processing is done by the immigration officers, but because we're licensed, we represent you. Please, we always need accurate documentation at all times. Any falsification or misrepresentation would lead to a denial, and we don't want denial. Okay, so make sure your name matches what you have in your international passport. Make sure the name you have in your certificate matches what you have in your international passport, because people have two names. Please, if you have two names, go do change of name. That way both things match. Okay, so Omo Bolale Folarin, I will be waiting for your question. I'm gonna give it an additional 2 minutes, and otherwise we'll be having a close. So what questions do you have with respect to immigrating to Canada? What questions do you have with respect to immigrating to Canada? You say the finances. Also keep in mind there are scholarship opportunities for people who are looking to school in Canada. Just so you're aware of that. How much will I pay for processing fee to start my master's study in Canada? Awesome. So for masters, you pay 275,000 naira. 275,000 naira. That's for your admission process. Okay. Now that is exclusive of your visa fee. The visa fee is $500. It is actually discounted because you're utilizing our service. So you pay 275,000 naira. Yes, 275,000 naira if you want to start your master's, go ahead and send me a DM right away, and let's start speaking. Send me a DM on Facebook right away, and let's start your master's process. Now you pay 50%. If you don't have 275,000 naira at a go, you can pay 50%. That's about 140 something thousand naira. And then when your admission letter comes out, which is a guarantee, you pay the order, you pay the rest of it, the remaining 50%, and then yeah, we proceed with your visa, so you can come to Canada. Okay, I hope that answered your question. So it's 275,000 naira for the processing charges, the processing fee, and you can always pay in installments. So you pay 50% first, and then once the admission letter is out, you pay the other 50%. So you have some time there, 2 to 3. You have some time there, a month and 2 months here or so. So yeah, you can raise 275,000. Trust me, we're one of the most affordable. There are people who are charging 1 million, 2 million. No, we don't do that. We want to give you the result you need. And also, when you come to Canada, you have airport pickup service. We have service that would also help you to have a good stay and understand the system before you become independent on your own. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much for that question. Good question, Omobolani Fonari. So Joy Akimbade, can you help one to get a job? Yes, 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 yes. We can help you get a job in Canada. However, there are a little bit of things you need to know, and there are a little bit of things here and there. You can't just come to Canada. And what did you study? What's your specialty? Like, are you currently working? Right? Are you currently working? Do you already have a spouse in Canada? Do you already have someone in Canada? Do you have an employer that is currently sponsoring? There's something called LMIA, and it's a little bit it's not impossible, but an employer has to sponsor you to come into the country, and that's why we need to know what you studied. We need to know what you study, and we need to know what is your occupation. What are you currently doing for a living at the moment? These are the questions. So send me a DM, Joy Akimbade. Send me a DM. Now, the best way to get a job, like I always say, is when you're working, when you're studying. So when you're studying in Canada, you're able to work alongside studying. Like, let's say you're a writer, let's say you're a copywriter, you're able to work in the university helping students write, and the university will be paying you as a teaching assistant. That's an easy way to get a job. But let's say you already have you're done with your studies, and you are a master's student, like Omobolani following. You're a master's student, or you're done your master's and you have a family and you want to come to Canada. So are you going to be sponsored by your spouse already in Canada, or is an employer going to sponsor you? These are some of the questions you need. You can't just come into Canada and work. There are tons of people in Canada. And one thing though, the Canadian government would always pick a permanent resident or a Canadian citizen over you, depending only, that's why I said LMIA. LMIA is Labor Market Impact Assessment, if you're the only one who can do the job. Okay, so you say you have BSc in information technology. Send me a DM. Yes, we have our office in Lagos. You can go to our office. It's located at Latif Jekande Way. Woo! Latif Jekande Way, close to the Lagos television station. Latif Jekande Way, Ikeja. Latif Jekande Way, Ikeja. Okay, that is our location. Latif Jekande Way, Ikeja. Hope that answers your question, Mobolali following. So you could put that on Google Map and locate Latif Jekande Way, Ikeja. It's close to the television services in Ikeja. Yeah, and yeah, you can speak to one of our consultants there, and they'll be happy to assist you with your application process. Yeah, and this is the best time to go to Canada right now. Canada is welcoming tons of immigrants. I believe the numbers were 1 million or so. And they've been able to meet some of that target. So their arms, their borders are wide open. You should take advantage of it. Yeah. Thank you so much for that question. So Joy Akimbade, so you say you have a BS in information technology. That is beautiful. And I love the fact you're doing something in technology, because the world is going techie. I don't know if you've heard of some of the programs out there that, artificial intelligence, AI. So information technology is a wonderful course, because there are tons of job opportunities there. So like I said, the only way you can get a job in Canada is if the employer is going to sponsor you. If the employer is going to sponsor you, they have to inform the Canadian government that you're the only one who can do the job well. So you need to let us know, like, what have you built so far from, are you currently working? Joy Akimbade, are you currently working? And if you're really good, we can give it a try. Go ahead and shoot us a DM, And if an employer is willing to sponsor you, we can take it from there. So just shoot us a DM on Facebook and we'll be happy to assist you from there. Any more questions? 43 minutes and 40 seconds. Whoa, that's a long time. Or you're self-employed. Fantastic. Excuse me. I also want to let you know, you don't always, I also want to let you know, Canada has tons of services. It doesn't always necessarily have to be a job. Like, let's say you want to immigrate. I would recommend just immigrate permanently to Canada and become a permanent resident in Canada. There are tons of opportunities, right? In Canada, they have the entrepreneurship pathway where you need to buy a business and stuff, right? And then get into the express entry and all that. So shoot us a DM and let's chat. Just shoot us a DM. Or if you want to even Joaquin Kimbade, if you want to even start like your master's, since you have some funds, you could start your master's. While you're doing your master's, you're working, and then you can get a job, right? So it's up to you. Just go ahead and shoot us a DM. There are tons of opportunities for you. You could either come in as a master's student and then get a job, or you would either apply for a job for you, or you want to go through the permanent residency route. There are tons of opportunities here and there. You want to buy a business in Canada and become an entrepreneur. The opportunity is endless. So just shoot us a DM, and one of our sales expert or consultant will answer your question and take it up from there. Okay. Any more questions, people? Any more questions? Any more questions? Hope I answered the question for you. Any more questions or concerns before we call it a day? Thank you all so much. Awesome. Shoot us a DM, and I will make sure I send your name to higher management, Joy Akingbade, so they are aware that you actually were in the live chat with us. And I do see you're very engaging. Thank you for that. We appreciate that. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? And thank you so much. Omo Bolanle Folarin. Thank you so much. I do appreciate your contribution. Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you being here again. This is Beatrice, Canada International Work and Study Resources, and I will be seeing you next week Tuesday as well, where we'll be doing a live broadcast in respect to another topic. So see you at that time. Thank you so much for taking your time. Okay, have a good day. Saying hello from Ciwsrc. Bye now.